Johnson across for Necas. Necas stopping and starting. He'll feed it across. They'll score! Drury! What a shot! And Carolina at the halfway mark of the third has gone up 3-2. A BB.
Challenge review. There was determined there was goaltender interference. Therefore, it was no goal on the play.
Chopped up front, they'll score. Yanni Gourde to a loose puck over Kochetkov's shoulder, and it's Seattle up 3-2.
Welcome to the Canes Corner podcast, everyone. I am Adam Gold, and yes, it happened again. The Carolina Hurricanes got goalie interference overturned. Canes lose 4-2 to the Seattle Kraken. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hannon and his crew do a great job. Hope everything is well in your world. Boy, is the chat active. So you can always throw stuff in the chat, and sometimes it moves faster than I can catch, and it's not easy kind of to keep up with all the comments anyway, but I'm going to do the best I can. Shouts to all of you, wherever you are, whatever whatever continent you are in or on, and enjoying the Canes Corner podcast. I thank you. Share, like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever you have to do, spread the word. If I get one more subscriber, I get $1 million. That, of course, is not true. Here is something that is true. The Hurricanes are 0 for 83 in reviewed goals that involve goaltender interference. Whether the Hurricanes score the goal and it gets chalked off, or if a goal is scored on Carolina and they review for goaltender interference, the goal always stands. They're 0 and 83 since Rod Brindamore took over. And Jack Drury holds the NHL record, career record, for goals overturned by goaltender interference or offside with 6. Now, I completely made up both of those stats. Completely made it up. But it might be true. Not saying it's not true, although I made the stat up. I don't know that they keep that stat, but maybe they should. If I could get my guy Gary on that. We have a stats guy. Gary, get on it. Oh, man. If you don't laugh, you're just going to cry, so let's laugh about it. Hurricanes lose their third in a row. They are now 16-8-1 on the season. And this is real adversity because this is a team that Carolina should have beaten and a team that Carolina should have beaten badly tonight. Seattle's not good. It's a bad loss. It's a terrible loss. This is a loss that'll keep them out of the college football playoff. Let's be honest. Alabama's played a tougher schedule. Georgia overcame 8 overtimes to beat Georgia Tech. Hurricanes couldn't beat Seattle. The Carolina Hurricanes, the SMU of college football. I mean, look, the bottom line is this. We can complain about goaltender interference. We're going to talk about the call. But the team that deserved to win the game won the game. So, in that way, justice was served. So, the team will take accountability for this. It's an honest team. No matter how good you are going to stink some nights. This was that night. This is not even a joke, through 57 minutes of hockey, The Carolina Hurricanes were being outshot by the Seattle Kraken 27-13. 28-13. Through 57 minutes of hockey. You're not winning that game. The fact that Carolina might have been in position to even challenge in this game is somewhat of a miracle. Maybe it's because Seattle isn't that good. But they played better. They managed the puck better. Not great. They weren't awesome at managing the puck. Carolina did force some mistakes. But they just didn't do enough with them. Couldn't get to some pucks. The Seth Jarvis shot that just kind of sat there just to the outside of Joey Decourt. He didn't even realize where the puck was. He thought he had it. Puck was just laying there. You could all see it. Jordan Martinook couldn't get to it. Seth Jarvis couldn't get to it. And we'll go through some of the sequences of goals and where Carolina screwed up. The first goal was screwed up. Second goal was screwed up. Pyotr Kochetkov came back from missing 4 games with concussion protocol. I mean, I'm not complaining about Pyotr Kochetkov, but my opinion, first and fourth goals need to be saved. We've talked about this. My opinion's not really going to change here because Kochetkov, when he's right, is really good. It's really good when he's right. But he has wild swings, which is, in my opinion, why Rod Brindamore went with Frederik Andersen in the playoffs virtually exclusively last year, was because when Freddie is normal, Freddie's just very steady. Now, the last 10 games of the regular season last year, Freddie was well more than steady. He was spectacular. And early in the playoffs against the Islanders, Freddie was that guy too. But this was the miscalculation, thinking that was going to continue, and it didn't. But even as poor as Freddie played, even in the last game, and he was bad in the last game, he was just decent. You needed better than decent, but he was just decent. Man, when Kochetkov goes the other way, Kochetkov's bad. And I'm not saying he was bad tonight, but I think you need to get the first goal, and I think you need to get the last one. So in that regard, Canes lost the goaltending battle. And Kochetkov's now made 14 starts this year. He is now 10-3-0. He didn't get the loss in the game against Columbus. That's the one he was knocked out of because it was in overtime, and the loss was hung on Spencer Martin for the shootout loss. But he wasn't very good in that game, Kochetkov. That game shouldn't have gone to overtime. Carolina's goaltending kind of let him down. And I think there have been too many times where Kochetkov's just been no good. So there's a lot of fluctuation in his game. And I think Carolina, I've said this before, I guess we're going to start here, and then we'll get to the goaltender interference and some other things. But I said a long time ago, when Andersen went down, and when it became apparent that was going to be a long-term situation, Hurricanes need to go get a goalie. I think tonight, to me, said, yeah, they need a goalie. Now, I get why they haven't done it, because Eric Tulsky and Tom Dundon and the Brain Trust here, who do their jobs very well, I'm not even in any way criticizing them, they don't want to be bent over a barrel because the entire league knows that Carolina needs a goalie. So what the hope is that Kochetkov will snap into gear and play well, at which point the Hurricanes don't feel like they're being taken advantage of, and they can go about the business of finding a goalie. Because the bottom line is Kochetkov and Spencer Martin can't be your goalie tandem for the next 8 weeks. Can't be your goalie tandem until the Four Nations tournament. Because if you do, you're going to cede ground. Now, I think the Hurricanes are a playoff team with me in goal. So I'm not really worried about it. I'm not worried about how poorly they look tonight because I just don't think that's going to continue. They'll get back to playing their game. And no, they don't play differently in front of the other goaltenders than they do in front of Kochetkov or Freddie Anderson. They don't. They've played good games in front of Spencer Martin. They won games in front of Spencer Martin. So I'm not put off by it. They'll be fine. But it's going to be hard to be great. And it's going to be hard to be consistently great if you're not 100% sure what you're going to get out of Kochetkov, even within the game. Because he did some good things today. But should have stopped the first one, I think. And there was no need to go for the poke check. Just play it. Just play it straight. At 3-2, you're still in the game. 4-2, no good. No good. That was just bad play. So goaltending is an issue, and it's going to be an issue until they address it. But again, I don't believe that they want to be in a position of looking desperate, even if they really are. All right. So, by the way, Kochetkov, and the reason I brought up this is the time of the year where Kochetkov really kicked into gear last year and the year before. Last year, he made 19 starts between December 12th, that was the game in Ottawa, and February 27th. This was a long run. He was 12-4-2, .930 save percentage. That's a long run of quality outings. The year before, shorter run, but he came up in November. From the 25th through the 20th of December, 10 starts. He was 8-0-2 with a .937 save percentage. So this is the time of the year where the last couple of years we saw good Kochetkov, and their hope is that they get good Kochetkov, and he could turn up on Thursday against Colorado. But and if good Kochetkov turns up, then they look like they're less in dire need of a goaltender. But Spencer Martin is an American Hockey League goalie who can bail you out in a pinch. I think they know that Kochetkov can't play like every game, which means that you have to start Martin in the games you're not going to start Kochetkov. And I understand they just signed Dustin Tokarski, but I'm sorry. I'll be shocked if that's really an option. And so they signed him yesterday, and they put him through waivers, and they assigned him to Chicago in the AHL. Yeah, I guess they could bring up Tokarski. He's played very well for them for 5 starts. He's 4-1. ERA. Goals against average about 1.6. Save percentage like .933. So he's played very well. All right. Let's get right to the goaltender interference. You heard the calls in the open. First of all, I just want to say that the 2 things I loved most about the whole thing, well, they're obviously the same things everybody else loved. Necas's creativity, his patience to get into the zone, stop, circle back, staying in the zone, and then finding Drury below the faceoff circle. And then the shot was just absolutely elite. I remember when the puck went in, just freaking out how good a shot it was. And it was one of the, it's a shame the goal didn't count because it's one of the best goals of the year in the NHL. Just for the accuracy of the shot, just a tremendous shot. And the pass, obviously, the play by Necas was great, and the shot was great. And then when they went to the monitor, when it was challenged for goaltender interference, I mean, do I have to say the joke again? It's Jack Drury's goal. Pfft, no chance. No chance. Put that on Twitter immediately. Oh, Jack Drury scored? That ain't going to count. And the fact that it's the Carolina Hurricanes, I think we all understood our fate here. And I said as much on Twitter because when I saw the replay the first time, here's the way it looks to me. And I say this thinking that it's still a 50-50 play. It's still a 50-50 call. The way it looks to me is that Robinson backs into Decord. Is there a ton of contact? I don't think so. Did Decord embellish it? Quite possibly. Was the defenseman helping Robinson into Decord? Maybe, but I think Robinson's own momentum was carrying him into the goaltender. Was Robinson in the crease? I'm not sure you can tell. I understand the overhead shot, but the overhead shot, when you're looking at the video, I mean, I would argue that it does look like his skates at least got into the edge of the crease. But it doesn't really matter as far as I can tell, as far as I know. Like, you can interfere with the goalie and not actually be in the crease if the goaltender is in the crease and trying to do his job, and you are physically impeding him from doing that. Which, again, this is all very, very on the edge. When I say 50-50, I completely mean it. That I think Robinson, of his own accord, does bump Decord. And whether he makes a meal of it or not, I think it's callable. Is that enough to wave off the call on the ice? Apparently, Toronto thought it was. And did Robinson have did Decord have enough time to reset and play his position after the contact? I could argue that he did, but he didn't. And that's what they called. My point from start to finish here is that tomorrow or tonight in Vegas, where whoever the heck Edmonton's playing at the Golden Knights, the exact identical play happens. And they call it a goal. Same thing. It is not a rule. Goaltender interference makes what is a catch in the NFL like simple math versus calculus. It's basically what it is. Goaltender interference is like physics, and the I lost my train of thought about the analogy. It was an unfortunate play, and to me, could have gone either way. Went against Carolina. So that's the way I saw it. I thought it was 50-50. And again, tomorrow it would be a goal. So everybody gets way too angry about these things. I get being angry because your team lost. My team lost too. But when I first looked at it, I thought, yeah, probably, maybe, I don't know. Then I thought, oh, Jack Drury scored. Yeah, of course it's goaltender interference. Jack Drury, and it's the Hurricanes. Anyway, so again, it's not a rule. It's incredibly gray. There's no black. There's no white. There's only gray. And I thought Rod Brindamore handled it really well in the postgame. I thought the players in the locker room handled it well in the postgame. I want to credit Martin Necas because he got to the point right away. It's like, doesn't really matter. We weren't good enough tonight. And that is the takeaway from this. That's the takeaway. The Hurricanes were trash for 57 minutes. They were better in the third period, rather. They were better. They weren't good. They were just better. And judging in relation to the first two periods, how hard was that? Carolina was terrible for 40 minutes. I was stunned. I thought the second period was one of their worst periods in 2 years. They brought nothing to the table in the second period. Coming off 2 losses to Florida, which in many ways was a measuring stick weekend. I mean, we want to be honest, right? First of all, we might need a little bit of a reset. I still think Carolina is an excellent team. I think they're a playoff team. By a million miles, they're going to make the playoffs, and they might win this division. I'm not kidding. I think they're good enough to win the division. I think they're better than Washington. The Rangers are a mess. I've said from the very beginning, I think the Devils have the best roster. I'm not 100% sold on their goaltending, but if Markstrom and Allen are good enough, I think they can outscore their problems. I think they're a little bit of a soft team, and I think Carolina can beat them even when the Devils are at their best. I think Carolina can beat them because I think that if Carolina can get to their game enough, I think Carolina's game will work against New Jersey's defense. Especially Dougie Hamilton. I think Hamilton, if Carolina plays their game, I don't think Hamilton is an effective player. With all that said, Carolina went to Florida, first here, then went to Florida, and they kind of got big boyed. We kind of saw the difference between the Panthers and the Hurricanes. And the Panthers, who play a more physical, gritty, rugged game, but also have a high degree of skill. The physicalness is what Carolina misses. Now, I'm not saying they can't beat the Panthers. They can, and they have, and they will. But winning a 7-game series from that team for Carolina is a very, very big ask because of the way Florida plays. What you're going to need is your goaltender to win that series for you. That can happen. But that's what you need. And I'm not even saying that the current Hurricanes goaltenders can't win that. I think Kochetkov has a high enough ceiling where he could do that. And I think if Anderson comes back and is healthy and he plays his best in a series with Florida, I think he can do that. So I'm not ruling out, but I'm saying over the long haul, the more times you see the Hurricanes and the Panthers play, the way the Panthers play is likely going to win out over the way the Hurricanes want to play, or how physically what the Hurricanes can offer. Totally off topic already. So, but I thought coming out of those 2 games that we would see more of a legit bounce back effort from the Hurricanes. And after they drew even in the first period, I didn't think either team was all that great from the rest of the way. I think shots were 6-5 in favor of Seattle in the first period. It's just brutal. So I thought after Carolina evened it up, I want to get the shots. Yes, it was 6-5 in favor of Seattle in the first period. It's kind of a no-hitter. At that point, I thought Carolina would be like, all right, we got away with a bad first period. It's 1-1. Then the second period started, and you went, is Carolina even here? If you follow me on Twitter, occasionally when we see periods like this, I will go, hey, that was a lot of cardio. Good cardio. Good, good, nice work up a sweat, skate around, all of that. That's what Carolina did for the most part in the period. They got outshot 14-2 in the frame. 14-2. Seattle had a 20-7 edge in shots on goal through 40 minutes. The last time Carolina had just 2 shots on goal in a period was more than 2 years ago in an October game at Calgary in 22. And it's just, there was nothing in the period. And then, it wasn't the second mistake, but the second mistake that cost a goal. The first mistake happened in the first period. Svechnikov, Roslovic kind of mismanaged the puck in the offensive zone. I think Roslovic tried to make a play, and he couldn't, and the puck was stolen right about the offensive blue line for Carolina, defensive blue line for Seattle. And then Jaden Schwartz just went right through Jalen Chatfield, who Chatfield's been a little hit or miss lately. Tonight was more miss, although he did make a great play in the second period to save a goal when it was already 2-1. And then Schwartz came in, and I just think Kochetkov needs to stop that. So a tricky shot because it was really just chipped, kind of whacked by Schwartz, but I think Kochetkov needs to come up with that save. And he didn't really attack in that situation. Would have liked to have seen him attack. Either way, I think he needs to come up with that save. Then the second goal, Necas has the puck like in the neutral zone. He gets bodied off the puck. But ultimately, even though that created the possession for the Kraken, Shane Gostisbehere has the puck on his stick right at the blue line, and he tries an aerial flip, and it goes nowhere. He just whiffed on an aerial flip. Now, was he alone? No. But that puck it got out of the zone, but it got out of the zone by a foot. That puck's got to get back into the defensive zone. Just a physical mistake by Gostisbehere there. And that creates the other possession. And the initial shot was, I believe, done. I think it was done, and then Tolvanen collects the rebound. Aho was there. Robinson was there. Neither could get to the point where they could defend Tolvanen. And there's your second goal. So that's not on Kochetkov. He makes an initial great save on Dunn. I believe it was Dunn. So that's not on Pyotr. That's on Gostisbehere, forwards, thinking the puck was getting out when it wasn't. Ultimately, now it's 2-1. That was the second goal. All right, Carolina's on the power play early in the third period. They created some good offensive zone pressure. They go on the power play. It was actually a good-looking power play. Excuse me. Some of the times, Carolina gets a little bit of magic at the end of a bad power play. I thought this was a good power play. And if you hear the highlight, the play starts. There were other chances, but Gostisbehere hits the post, hits it so flush it comes out of the zone. Aho gets it. Necas is flying down the right. Great pass from Aho. Hits Necas in stride, and he went past Jamie Alexiak so fast that you would have thought Alexiak was asleep. And a beautiful little shovel through the legs of Decord to make it 2-2. Place going nuts. Canes got even, a little bit of a buzz, lingering, and then the Necas play, which we described. Super patience, pass to Drury, great shot, goal, but no goal. We've already been through that. And all I could think of was, the way things are going, probably blow this, probably give a goal up to Seattle, and that's what they did. I thought this was the puck luck portion of the game for Seattle, although they earned their puck luck because it was their pressure that force the turnover in Carolina's end, but ultimately a pass gets deflected by a Hurricane stick. I'm pretty sure this is the way it went. I have not watched I've not Zapruder film this up, but I think a pass, and I forget who it was, might have been Carrier who deflected the pass across. It falls right to Yanni Gourde. And he just, pounds it past Kochetkov in close range. And that's the 3-2 goal. Like, just beyond the middle point of the period. The fourth goal is, to me, the one that you can't allow. And look, you're pressing to get the tying goal. I get it. So there's going to be some opportunities on a counterattack, and that's what happened with Seattle. And Brandon Tanev showed some wheels. When you can make Jacob Slavin look like he's skating in slush, you're pretty quick. Tanev went right past Slavin. But honestly, if you're Pyotr Kochetkov, that ain't a poke check situation, my friend. That is a situation where just play it straight. And he didn't. He went for the poke check. And when he went for the poke check, Tanev just easy little chip over the goalkeeper. And it's 4-2. That was pretty much it at 4-2. So this is where Carolina is right now. They'll get better. They'll get back at it. I know the best players weren't. Nobody was good tonight. Like, no joke. Everybody was bad. Like, I know Necas had 2 points. Awesome. And the goal was tremendous. The defensive play, which he and Robinson had a part in, that was nice too. That created the Robinson goal. But it wasn't good from anybody. It wasn't good from Necas. It wasn't good from Aho or Jarvis or Svechnikov. It wasn't good from anybody. It wasn't good from your best players on defense either. It wasn't good from, Slavin got beat on the fourth goal. Chatfield got beat on the first goal. Gostisbehere gave the puck away on the second goal. I personally thought that Shane struggled tonight. I thought Carolina gave the puck away a lot, and I thought they struggled managing the puck, although it wasn't as bad as some other games. I just thought they made I thought they whiffed on a lot of passes. Aho tried to flip out of the zone and whiffed. They were fortunate enough on a power play. I think they were fortunate enough to get it back and get it out. So just got to be better than they were tonight. They didn't lose this game because goaltender interference, even though I can't tell you how do I say this? I don't think it was the reason they lost, but I also can't tell you that it wasn't. Because if that goal is allowed, and again, tomorrow it could, maybe they win the game 3-2. But as I said at the very beginning of this, that would have been stealing because they were never at any point in this game better than the Seattle Kraken. With that said, we're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. Before we go, expected goals for the game, if you're into that thing. And I think these are useful tools. They are not necessarily cut and dried. But they're also, while there are times where I think they're off, they're not so off where this isn't anything but alarming in this game. Expected goals for this game: Seattle 5, Carolina 2. That's expected goals in all situations, not just 5-on-5. That is awful against that team. It speaks to the fact that Carolina just didn't have it tonight. I have no idea if they're practicing. I think they've sent the note out whether or not they're practicing tomorrow, and then they'll get back on the ice against the Colorado Avalanche on Thursday. The Hurricanes are going to practice at noon. At Invisalign, hey, you can go watch. You can go watch them practice tomorrow because you're allowed to go watch at Invisalign. I don't think you can watch here at Lenovo Center. So Carolina just wasn't good enough tonight. The team that was good enough, even if they weren't great, although I thought Seattle played very well. But you can't be the silver medalist and win a hockey game. And Carolina was the silver medalist tonight. And that'll do it for us. We'll see everybody next time. Actually, real quick, bit of housekeeping. Traveling Thursday, will not have a podcast Thursday. I might on Saturday. But I'm going to be out of town for a few days, and I just don't know if I'll be able to watch the game on Saturday. I know I'll be flying while they are playing Colorado on Thursday. So at the very least, we'll see everybody next week when the Hurricanes will play. I think they have a 5-game homestand. And honestly, it's a pretty big homestand from where I sit because this was a game that the Hurricanes really needed to have. All right, I've said goodbye twice. We'll say goodbye one more time. I thank you very much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time on the Canes Corner podcast. Good night.